thing you do need to avoid is, Everyone does it, but if you'll notice, you're watching this university, I'm not reading off a teleprompter. I'm doing everything off the top of my head, and I very, very rarely start stuttering or saying, I've trained it out of my brain. But you start slowly. You talk slowly, you breathe, you make sure you don't make any and then you get better at it, and you can be as quick as me. Now I talk very, very fast without mistakes, without gaps. And will lose you a deal. Oh, so explain to me how the flux capacitor works. Okay, so you just lost it. You just lost the deal right there. And 99% of people will do exactly that. Even people who are good, even experienced people. Okay, so, why? How does the flux capacitor work? I'm going to tell you exactly how the flux capacitor works. Here's how it works. Look at this. I just got the deal. You didn't. All I did was repeat his question. You're saying, so you have time to think. I'm repeating the question, so I have time to think. Tell me how the flux capacitor works. Or tell me how the flux capacitor works. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you exactly how the flux capacitor works. All I did was repeat his question. It's not complicated. There's tips and tricks so you learn how to speak without sounding like a moron. If someone and ahs in a presentation with me, I won't buy from them because I don't like that shit. I don't speak that way. Learn how to not speak that way. If you're watching this and you want to learn what I know about how to talk, get the body language course. It'll teach you. I gave you one little trick there, but there's a bunch more. Next, everything will go wrong all the time. Everything will go wrong all the time. That's why you need to have a high stress tolerance. And that's also why you need rule number 1. Your best weapon against things going wrong is rule number 1. Speed. Speed defies gravity. If you get water in a bucket and you spin it around really fast, the water doesn't come out the bucket. As soon as you slow down, it falls out. Speed is that powerful. You have to be able to work quickly. You need people around you who work quickly. You need teams which react to things quickly. Communication is at the core of everything we do. It shapes our relationships, influences how we connect with others, and determines how effectively we express ourselves. Whether in personal conversations, professional settings, or public speaking, the way we talk has a direct impact on how people perceive us and how well our message is received. Imagine two people delivering the same idea. One speaks with clarity, confidence, and engagement, while the other is hesitant, vague, or monotonous. Even if both individuals have the same knowledge, their effectiveness in communication sets them apart. That is the power of talking well. It's not just about the words we use, it's about how we use them. Good communication builds trust and understanding. In relationships, it helps resolve conflicts, express emotions, and create deeper connections. In the workplace, it fosters teamwork, ensures smooth collaboration, and can even influence career growth. Leaders, educators, and influencers rely on strong communication to inspire action and create change. The ability to articulate thoughts clearly and listen actively can mean the difference between success and missed opportunities. Poor communication, on the other hand, leads to misunderstandings, frustration, and unnecessary conflicts. A simple misinterpretation can damage relationships, cause workplace inefficiencies, or make a speaker lose credibility. How often have we seen people struggle to get their point across only to be ignored or misunderstood? That happens when there's a gap between what they mean to say and how they actually say it. Talking effectively is a skill that can be learned. It starts with awareness. Understanding that communication is a two-way street. It's not just about speaking, but also about adapting to the audience, being clear and concise, using body language effectively, and listening with intention. Mastering these aspects allows us to navigate conversations with ease, whether in casual discussions, professional meetings, or public forums. The way we talk matters because it shapes our interactions and ultimately defines our impact on the world. Every conversation begins with one crucial factor, the audience. Whether we're speaking to a friend, addressing a group, or presenting in a professional setting, understanding who we are talking to makes all the difference. The words we choose, the tone we use, and even the way we structure our message should be shaped by the people listening. Effective communication isn't just about expressing ourselves, it's about ensuring that what we say resonates with the person or people on the other end. Think about how we naturally adjust our speech in different situations. We wouldn't explain a complex topic to a child the same way we would to an expert in the field. Likewise, the way we speak to a close friend is different from how we would communicate with a boss or a stranger. This ability to shift our tone and approach based on the listener is what makes communication truly effective. It shows that we are aware of our audience's needs, background, and expectations. Adapting to the audience also means recognizing cultural and social differences. A phrase that is casual and friendly in one setting might come across as too informal or even inappropriate in another. In a diverse world, being mindful of different perspectives helps us avoid misunderstandings and build stronger connections. A great communicator is not just someone who speaks well, but someone who listens, observes, and adjusts accordingly. Beyond just the choice of words, the level of detail matters. If we're speaking to someone familiar with a topic, we can be direct and to the point. But if our audience is unfamiliar, we need to provide more context and explain things clearly without overwhelming them with unnecessary information. The goal is always to make it easy for the listener to understand, engage, and respond. Communication is not one size fits all. When we take the time to understand our audience, what they know, what they need, and how they prefer to receive information, we create meaningful conversations. And when we do that, we ensure that our words don't just reach people, but truly connect with them. One of the biggest challenges in communication is making sure our message is clear and easy to understand. We've all been in situations where someone talks in circles, uses too many words, or overcomplicates a simple point. When that happens, the listener struggles to keep up and the message gets lost. The key to effective communication is clarity, saying what we mean in a way that's direct, simple, and engaging. Being clear doesn't mean dumbing things down. It means structuring our thoughts so that the listener can follow them effortlessly. One of the best ways to do this is by organizing what we say. Every message should have a natural flow, a beginning that sets the stage, a middle that provides the core idea, and an ending that ties everything together. When we speak in a structured way, we reduce confusion and keep our audience engaged. Conciseness is just as important. More words don't always mean more impact. In fact, saying too much can weaken a message rather than strengthen it. The best communicators know how to remove unnecessary details and get straight to the point without losing meaning. Think about a time when someone explains something in a long-winded way. Chances are you tuned out halfway through. But when someone expresses an idea clearly and efficiently, it sticks. Another thing that makes speech more effective is avoiding jargon or overly technical language unless we're sure the audience understands it. In professional settings, people sometimes use complex words to sound more knowledgeable. But if the listener doesn't grasp the meaning, the message fails. The goal isn't to impress with big words, it's to communicate in a way that makes sense to the listener. If we do need to use specialized terms, providing a brief explanation helps keep everyone on the same page. Speaking clearly and concisely also involves knowing when to pause. A well-placed pause gives the listener time to process information and makes key points stand out. It also helps us avoid filler words like or like, which can make speech seem less confident. A short silence can be more powerful than a string of unnecessary words. When we focus on clarity and conciseness, we make it easier for others to understand us, remember what we say, and stay engaged. Communication isn't about saying more, it's about saying what truly matters. The way we communicate isn't just about the words we choose, it's also about how we deliver them. Our body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice play a huge role in how our message is received. Sometimes what we don't say speaks louder than what we do. A simple change in posture, a shift in eye contact, or even the way we use our hands can completely alter the impact of our words. Think about a conversation where someone speaks with a monotone voice, avoids eye contact, and keeps their arms crossed. Even if their words are positive, their body language might make them seem disinterested or even defensive. On the other hand, someone who speaks with energy, uses open gestures, and maintains steady eye contact creates an entirely different impression, one that feels warm, confident, and engaging. This is why nonverbal communication is just as important as verbal communication. Tone of voice adds another layer to our message. The same sentence can carry different meanings depending on how we say it. A simple, "I'm fine" can sound reassuring, sarcastic, or upset depending on tone alone. That's why it's crucial to be aware of not just what we say, but how we say it. When we speak with warmth and enthusiasm, people are more likely to listen and connect with us. If our tone is flat or rushed, even the most interesting message can lose its impact. Gestures and facial expressions also help bring our words to life. A smile can make a message feel more friendly, while a furrowed brow can signal concern or confusion. Using natural hand movements can emphasize key points and make speech feel more dynamic. The key is to be expressive without overdoing it. Too many exaggerated gestures can be distracting, while too little movement can make us seem stiff or unapproachable. Good body language isn't just about expressing ourselves, it's also about making the listener feel comfortable and engaged. Mirroring the body language of the person we're speaking to, maintaining an open posture, and nodding occasionally to show understanding all create a sense of connection. It signals that we're present in the conversation and that we care about what's being said. When our words, tone, and body language align, our message becomes stronger. People don't just hear what we're saying, they feel it. And when they feel it, they're far more likely to remember and respond to it. Talking is only half of communication. The other half, the part that often gets overlooked, is listening. We've all been in conversations where we can tell the other person isn't really paying attention. Maybe they're nodding absent-mindedly, checking their phone, or just waiting for their turn to speak. When that happens, the conversation feels shallow and real connection is lost. That's why active listening is such a powerful skill. It's not just about hearing words, it's about fully understanding the message behind them. When we truly listen, we make the other person feel valued and respected. Think about how it feels when someone remembers something we said in a previous conversation or asks a thoughtful follow-up question. It shows that they were engaged, that our words mattered. On the other hand, when someone responds with a generic yeah or without real engagement, it becomes clear that they weren't really listening. That can be frustrating and even discouraging. One of the best ways to improve listening is to focus completely on the speaker. That means putting away distractions, making eye contact, and using small gestures like nodding to show we're engaged. But listening goes beyond just body language. It also means resisting the urge to interrupt or jump in with our own thoughts too quickly. Instead of planning what to say next, we should allow ourselves to fully absorb what's being said first. Asking good questions is another sign of active listening. When we respond with thoughtful questions, it shows that we're genuinely interested in the conversation. Questions like, what do you mean by that? Or can you tell me more? Encourage the speaker to open up and create a more meaningful exchange. Summarizing what someone said before responding is also a great way to show understanding. Simple phrases like, so what you're saying is, or it sounds like you're feeling, make the other person feel heard. Listening also helps avoid misunderstandings. Many conflicts arise not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't understood. By taking the time to listen carefully and clarify when needed, we reduce the chances of miscommunication and create stronger connections. Communication isn't just about speaking well, it's about listening well too. When we give others the space to be heard, we build better relationships, make conversations more meaningful, and become better communicators ourselves. Not every conversation goes smoothly. Sometimes we struggle to find the right words. Other times we misinterpret what someone else is saying. And then there are moments when emotions get in the way, making it difficult to communicate clearly. Overcoming communication barriers is an essential part of talking effectively because no matter how well we speak, if our message isn't received as intended, communication breaks down. One of the biggest obstacles people face in conversations is nervousness. Whether it's speaking in front of a group, having a difficult discussion, or just expressing an idea, nerves can make us hesitate, stumble over words, or speak too quickly. The key to overcoming this is preparation and practice. When we take the time to organize our thoughts and get comfortable with what we want to say, we feel more confident. Pausing and breathing before speaking also helps slow us down, making us sound more composed and in control. Another common barrier is misunderstanding. We assume the listener knows what we mean, but words can be interpreted differently based on a person's background, experiences, or even their mood in the moment. That's why clarity is so important. Instead of assuming we've been understood, we should check in by asking, does that make sense? Or would you like me to explain that differently? On the other side, if we're the listener and something isn't clear, asking for clarification can prevent small misunderstandings from turning into bigger issues. Emotions also play a huge role in communication. When people are frustrated, upset, or defensive, their ability to listen and respond calmly can be affected. This is especially true in conflict situations. When emotions run high, it's easy to say something we don't mean or misinterpret the other person's intentions. A good way to manage this is by taking a step back, acknowledging emotions, and responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Even simple phrases like, I see where you're coming from, or let's take a moment to think about this, can help bring calmness to a conversation. Another barrier to effective communication is using the wrong approach for the situation. The way we talk to a close friend is different from how we address a colleague or a stranger. Sometimes we use informal language in a professional setting or overly formal language in a casual one, creating an awkward or ineffective exchange. Paying attention to context and adjusting our tone, choice of words, and level of detail ensures that our message is received in the right way. One final barrier is simply not listening well. When we focus too much on what we're going to say next, we miss key parts of the conversation. The best way to overcome this is by being present, really tuning in, responding thoughtfully, and making sure both sides of the conversation are balanced. Talking isn't just about expressing ourselves, it's about making sure we're understood. By overcoming these common barriers, we make communication smoother, clearer, and more meaningful. Becoming a great communicator doesn't happen overnight. Like any other skill, it takes time, effort, and a willingness to improve. The good news is that communication is something we practice every day. Whether we're talking to friends, writing an email, giving a presentation, or even having small talk with a stranger. Every conversation is an opportunity to refine the way we express ourselves and connect with others. One of the best ways to improve is through feedback. Sometimes we don't realize how we come across until someone points it out. Maybe we speak too fast, interrupt too often, or use vague language without realizing it. Asking for honest feedback from people we trust can be incredibly valuable. It gives us a chance to see our blind spots and make adjustments. We can even record ourselves speaking and listen back to identify areas for improvement. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the quickest ways to become a better speaker. Practicing different types of conversations also helps. If we tend to be more comfortable in casual settings but struggle with formal conversations, we can challenge ourselves by engaging in discussions that push us out of our comfort zone. Joining a public speaking group, participating in debates, or even practicing storytelling can make a huge difference. The more we put ourselves in different speaking situations, the more adaptable and confident we become. Reading and observing skilled communicators is another powerful way to improve. Watching TED Talks, listening to engaging podcasts, or even paying attention to how charismatic people around us communicate can give us insights into what makes speech effective. Notice how great speakers vary their tone, use pauses, and structure their thoughts. These are techniques we can apply in our own conversations to make our speech more engaging and impactful. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to improve communication is to slow down. When we rush through our words, we leave little room for emphasis or clarity. Taking our time, pausing when needed, and allowing space for listeners to process information makes the conversation feel more natural and engaging. It also helps reduce filler words like and you know, which can make speech seem less confident. Finally, improvement comes from consistency. Just like learning a musical instrument or developing athletic skills, getting better at communication requires regular practice. Every time we make an effort to speak with clarity, listen actively, and adapt to our audience, we become stronger communicators. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. The more we practice, the more natural and effortless communication becomes, allowing us to express ourselves with confidence and connect with others in a meaningful way. Talking well is a skill, but like any skill, it can always be improved. The best communicators, whether they are great speakers, leaders, or simply people who are easy to talk to, never stop learning. They pay attention to their conversations, reflect on what worked and what didn't, and constantly look for ways to refine how they express themselves. Communication isn't something we master once and forget about. It's something we develop over time through experience, observation, and practice. One of the simplest ways to continue improving is by exposing ourselves to a variety of communication styles. Reading books, listening to speeches, and watching how skilled communicators engage their audience can provide valuable insights. Some people speak with energy and passion, while others use calm, measured tones. Some rely on humor to connect with people, while others use storytelling to make their message memorable. By paying attention to different techniques, we can adapt and develop our own unique style that suits our personality and audience. Another way to grow is by stepping into conversations that challenge us. Engaging in discussions with people who have different perspectives forces us to think critically and articulate our thoughts clearly. It also teaches us how to navigate disagreements respectfully, which is an essential part of effective communication. The more we expose ourselves to diverse conversations, the more adaptable and confident we become in expressing ourselves. Feedback remains one of the most powerful tools for improvement. We might not always notice our habits, whether it's speaking too quickly, over-explaining, or using too many filler words. Asking friends, colleagues, or mentors for honest feedback can help us identify areas where we can improve. Even recording ourselves during a conversation or presentation and listening back can provide surprising insights into how we sound and how we can refine our delivery. Beyond speaking, improving communication also means becoming a better listener. Great communicators understand that the best conversations are not one-sided. They know how to balance speaking with listening, how to read the room, and how to adjust their approach based on their audience's reactions. Being able to pick up on subtle cues, like someone losing interest or not fully understanding, allows us to adapt in the moment and make sure our message is received effectively. Most importantly, improving communication is about consistency. It's not about being perfect in every conversation, but about making small, intentional improvements over time. Whether it's learning to pause more, choosing words more carefully, or becoming more expressive, every effort we make brings us closer to being a stronger communicator. Talking is something we do every day, but mastering the art of communication is a lifelong journey, one that continues to evolve as we grow, learn, and connect with the world around us. Confidence is one of the most important elements of effective communication. No matter how well we structure our words or how clear our message is, if we don't deliver it with confidence, it can lose its impact. People naturally respond to those who speak with certainty and assurance. It makes us more persuasive, more engaging, and more trustworthy. But confidence in communication doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room or speaking without hesitation. It's about believing in what we say and delivering it in a way that makes others believe in it too. One of the key ways to build confidence in speaking is preparation. When we know what we're talking about, we feel more secure in our words. Whether it's a presentation, a difficult conversation, or even just sharing an opinion in a group, taking a moment to organize our thoughts makes a huge difference. Even for casual conversations, being aware of what we want to express helps us avoid rambling or second-guessing ourselves. Posture and body language also play a big role in how confident we appear, and more importantly, how confident we feel. Standing tall, making eye contact, and using open gestures naturally make us seem more self-assured. Even when we're nervous, adjusting our body language can help trick our mind into feeling more at ease. When we look confident, we tend to feel more confident, and that energy translates to how others perceive us. Another important aspect of confidence in communication is our tone of voice. A shaky, uncertain tone can make even the best arguments sound weak, while a steady, well-paced voice gives words more weight. Speaking too fast can make us seem anxious, while speaking too softly can make it seem like we're unsure of ourselves. Taking our time, emphasizing key points, and allowing natural pauses give our words more power. Of course, confidence also comes from experience. The more we practice speaking in different situations, the more natural and effortless it becomes. No one starts out as a perfect communicator. Even the best speakers have moments of doubt, awkward pauses, or times when they stumble over their words. The difference is that they keep going. Every conversation, every speech, every opportunity to express ourselves is another step toward becoming more comfortable and assured in the way we communicate. Confidence isn't about knowing everything or never making mistakes. It's about trusting ourselves to communicate our thoughts in an authentic and meaningful way. When we do that, people don't just hear our words, they believe in them. Adapting to different audiences is one of the most important aspects of effective communication. No two conversations are the same, and the way we speak should change depending on who we are talking to. A conversation with a close friend is very different from a discussion with a boss. Just as the way we explain something to a child would differ from how we explain it to an expert. The ability to adjust our language, tone, and approach based on the situation makes communication more effective and ensures that our message is received in the best possible way. Understanding our audience starts with awareness. Before speaking, it helps to consider who we are talking to and what they might expect from the conversation. Is it a formal setting where a professional tone is needed, or is it a relaxed conversation where a more casual, personal approach would work better? Recognizing these differences allows us to adjust in a way that feels natural and appropriate. One key part of adapting is choosing the right language. Using technical jargon with someone unfamiliar with the topic can create confusion, while oversimplifying in a professional setting might come across as unprepared or lacking knowledge. The best communicators find a balance, ensuring that their words match the listener's level of understanding. This is especially important when explaining complex ideas. Being able to simplify without losing meaning is a skill that makes conversations smoother and more engaging. Tone is just as crucial. Speaking to a group of colleagues requires a different level of energy and formality than speaking to a group of children or friends. A warm and enthusiastic tone can make a presentation more engaging, while a calm and measured tone might be better suited for serious discussions. Sometimes, adapting isn't just about changing our words, it's about shifting the energy we bring to the conversation. Being observant also helps us adjust on the spot. Paying attention to body language, facial expressions, and the overall mood of the conversation gives us clues about whether our approach is working. If someone looks confused, we might need to clarify. If they seem disengaged, adding more enthusiasm or making the conversation more interactive can bring their attention back. Communication isn't just about speaking, it's about reading the room and making small adjustments to keep the conversation flowing. Adapting doesn't mean changing who we are, it means being flexible enough to make sure our message is received in the best way possible. The more we practice adjusting to different audiences, the more natural and effortless it becomes. And when we learn to meet people where they are, our conversations become more meaningful, impactful, and effective.